Hi friends, I'm in Potsdam and you can't believe how vibrant is this community. I just bumped in the Drupal stand and I just met this gentleman, so please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Mike Gifford. I'm a Open Standards and Practices Lead at Civic Actions. I'm also a Drupal core accessibility maintainer. I've been a maintainer for 12 years, working on Drupal core, making it as accessible and inclusive as possible. So that's definitely good. I'm giving two talks. One is on digital public goods, which is Drupal is a digital public good, which is an effort to try and unify around the sustainable development goals and efforts to demonstrate that the Drupal is actually not just open source, but also beyond that, trying to go off and to build those digital public goods. Also one on alt text and accessibility, where I'm highlighting ways that we can make more accessible alt text to make it easier for humans to do alt text.
That's very interesting. And what's the interesting project you're working at the moment, beside of what you already mentioned?
I think that the most interesting thing is exploring technology in different ways. Like I'm definitely I've for 21 years I owned a business. I'm now working at Civic Actions, so I no longer own a business. But it's so getting back into doing development as part of exploring and whatnot after owning a business, and so I'm having a bit more time to do that. But using ChatGPT to be able to explore Python and Ruby and BigQuery and just like there's interesting things where I can use my experience in programming, but not have to actually learn a whole other language, because I can work with the AI in order to take a next step and build at least something that's a workable prototype with AI. I think that's been something I've quite enjoyed lately, and so that's one of the big areas that I'm getting excited about recently, and also seeing how AI is being incorporated into Drupal with Drupal CMS. I think that there's some interesting ways that we can start to take this really solid, versatile platform, but help to go off and make it interesting and exciting for people who are new or thinking about how they're going to be incorporating AI into their next platform.
Wow, so integrating AI.
That's definitely one of the areas for sure. But yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's there's definitely interest and excitement and opportunities, especially when we're starting to get into these smaller models that are not as energy intensive. I'm also very excited about trying to reduce the environmental impact of our technology, which is a bit different from the artificial intelligence side, because AI demands a lot of energy, at least as it's built right now. But I'm a part of the Web Sustainability Guidelines, which is an effort to create an outline of how you could build a more sustainable website that reuses less energy and is more environmentally responsible.
Yeah, that's very interesting because I was chatting with one gentleman that said to me that they were calculating, it was part of a big corporation, and they calculated the CO2 impact
Right.
of running the website based on the number of pages that people are actually browsing and stuff. And they ended up this research doing some image optimization using the latest protocol,
Right.
and they actually cut the carbon footprint by 50% or
And
this huge number.
it's a fascinating thing, both because you've got the server side energy consumption, there's the transmission, and finally the least efficient part of it all is the client side. So when the browser, and JavaScript is unfortunately a really a negative side, because it takes all of the computational stuff that was historically done on the server and throws it down on the client to process it. And often our devices do not have they're not optimized for like JavaScript is a great and powerful language, but it's nowhere near as optimized as a server-side language, even PHP. And so trying to, it's not the right place to do that. But we've built our society around trying to go up and have that level of quick client-side optimization, and which has some problems with it. But
Yeah, I think that we went very long way from. I still remember the first implementation of Ajax in the past,
right.
and now we are like I heard WebAssembly, a lot of wonderful
Right.
technology.
It's fascinating. Like it just and for that matter, efforts to look at a web GPU. So how do you incorporate GPU processing in a web application? Like again, that's that's a whole other level of complexity. And there may be good reasons to do that, but again, like how do we try and use the right technology for the job and make sure we're thinking about the environmental impact of what we're doing, and perhaps we can find better ways to build responsibly and thinking about what the not only the battery life of our processes and the impact on our users, but the environmental impact as well.
Yeah, I think that green IT is definitely a field and is growing more and more, especially with the new regulation in the market.
Yes.
I'm thinking about the CSRD that will be just the beginning of
Yes.
the framework that we're going to use to create the web of tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because in the end, web connect people.
Yeah, I mean, we need digital technologies to build our future. I mean, that is we're not turning that clock backwards because we need that for interactivity, but we need to be able to do it in a more sustainable way. And we can't just assume that we can just make our devices bigger and have more bandwidth and just buy a new device every 2 years and we're all going to be good, because that's, all of these electronic devices have physical, like with every electron there's an atom associated with it. There's physical materials that are necessary to generate it, and we have to be mindful of that given that we live on a finite planet.
Absolutely. I think that we are reaching out the 5 nanometer limit.
Right.
That is like atom limit for creating
Although we
our
keep
chip.
pushing it in terms of like, okay, like, we keep pushing how far we can go, and the drive for growth is something that is it's a real challenge, because we're finding new ways to push the capacity of the technology.
Okay, but if you have a magic ball,
Right.
how do you see the web of tomorrow?
Well, I see it as being, I mean, HTML is still going to be critical to that, because that is such a wonderful semantic language that is so powerful. I see it being there, continuing to drive our applications in our society in terms of delivering both applications and whether it's a Google suite or a Libra suite, but we're going to be driving more of our lives through the web. But it's also going to be optimized so you're not necessarily shipping bits around the world. So how do we decentralize it? How do we make it sure that it's open source? How do we make sure you're not having to go off and have everything centralized in one giant server in California, but that you're able to have it as localized as possible, so that you're able to benefit from open source, but to decentralize the knowledge and control, so it's more community focused. So I think that's the direction that we're going in the long term, but that's definitely not in the next year or two.
Of course, this is a long path.
Yes.
And thank you very much, gentlemen. How people can keep in touch with you?
So I'm on Mastodon at mgifford at mastodon.social. I'm also on Blue Skies at mgifford, and I'm on LinkedIn as well, on mgifford as well. So it's at Civic Actions. You can reach out to me there as well. So
cool. Thank you very much, and let's rock 2025 together. Bye.